Hi, I'm Jennifer from jenniferleads.com. Today, the topic of our video is going to be the 6 syllable types of English. Syllables are very important to learn for children who have dyslexia because children who have dyslexia are known to mix sounds and syllables and have a difficult time pronouncing words that are longer with syllable structure and also reading words that have a longer syllable structure and are more complex. So helping your child think about the syllables within words, especially in regards to written language, will help them be able to take really long words that they might normally just guess on and break them down into smaller parts so that they can decode and figure out those words. Breaking a word into syllables is not perfect science, and it doesn't always work exactly the way we want it to. But in general, syllable types follow very specific rules. And learning those rules can help your child understand English and figure out how to read words that are longer and more complex. Breaking words into syllables is just one strategy that we teach children who have dyslexia or who are learning to read. There are lots of other effective strategies that can help a child figure out longer words. Another really good strategy to use with your child is to help them notice prefixes and root words and suffixes. If we use those grammatical morphemes or those morphemes, those parts of words that carry meaning, and we break those apart, it can also help your child to understand the meaning of words that they may not know. So knowing what a prefix means, or what a suffix means, or what a root word means can help your child take a big long word that they've never seen before and use what they know about prefixes, roots, and suffixes to figure out that word. We'll have another video on that topic later, but today's video is about syllable types and how to use those types as one of the strategies we might teach our children or give our children so that they can figure out longer words. So the first syllable type that I'm going to talk about is closed syllables. Closed syllables are words that have just one vowel sound, or one vowel letter, in the middle of the word. So if we look at this word, our E is the vowel in the word. That E is not at the end of the syllable, and it is blocked in by the letter T, that consonant T. So again, we call this a closed syllable, and we say that that T is closing the door or shutting the door so that E doesn't get to say its name. That E has to say its short sound, eh. So we have t, met. So the reason that E says eh is because this syllable is closed and the door is shut. The T shuts the door, it's closed, and the E doesn't get to say its name. Conversely, we have other syllables that just have one vowel where the syllable ends with the vowel. If that happens, we call this an open syllable. And on these types of syllables, the vowel is at the end of the syllable, and because there's nothing closing the door, the vowel gets to scream its name out the window, out the open window. So we call these open syllables. So this is E, and the E gets to say its actual name as opposed to the short sound. Those are just an example of single syllable words, but we can think about those in terms of bigger words or longer words. And I will explain the dividing rule in my next video with a lot more depth. But basically, we can take longer words and divide them into syllables as well. What we look for first is two consonants that are side by side with a vowel that we hear on this side and with a vowel that we hear on the other side. If we see that pattern, then we divide right between the two consonants, and then this syllable, based on that division pattern, would be the G closes the door, the I doesn't get to say its name, so it says I, so this word would be tigger. Now, if we looked for this consonant, side-by-side consonant pattern with a vowel here and a vowel here, and we don't see it, the next strategy we try is to divide right after the first vowel. So in this word, we would divide right after the first vowel, which is the I. So this syllable would be an open syllable, and we would pronounce that as tiger. So using these strategies and looking for these patterns will help your child to break bigger words into smaller, more manageable parts. So this would be an example of a closed syllable on top with tigger, and on bottom would be an example, at least this syllable, of an open syllable with tiger. Again, my next video, I will give you a lot more detail about the dividing rules and some other strategies and some other ways to think about those rules. But today is just a brief overview of the 6 syllable types, so I'm not going to go into that much detail. Now, the next type of syllable that we have would be the magic E syllable. And for the magic E syllable, the E is at the end of the word. The E is silent, and it gives all of its power back to the vowel so that the vowel gets to say its name. So this word would be like. I'll give you another example. If we think about this word would be an example of a closed syllable. There's one vowel, the word ends with a consonant, so that consonant blocks the vowel and it doesn't get to say its name. And so this word would be kit. Now, what happens when we put the E on the end? That E becomes silent and gives all of its power to that I. So now that I gets to say its name. So we have kite. And those are examples of magic E syllables. The next type of syllable, some people divide it and call it 2 different types of syllables, and some people say it is one type of syllable. And this syllable is called a vowel team. So there are 2 vowels side by side, a team, they work together. Some of these vowel teams are what I call the sailboat on the sea rule, in which the 2 vowels work together and the first one says its name. So some people call this when 2 vowels go walking, the first one does the talking. Examples of those letters would be the AI, the OA, and the EA. So in those words, S, A, U, you don't hear the I, the A is doing all of the talking. The O, T, you don't hear the A, the O says its name. And in C, S, E, you don't hear the A, and the E says its name. So these 2 vowels are side by side, they're a team, they work together, and in these, the first vowel says its long sound, and the second vowel doesn't say anything at all. So we call these the 2 vowels go walking, or the sailboat on the sea vowel teams. The other type of vowel teams are called special vowel teams. And the special vowel teams are 2 letters that go together where they make a brand new sound. It's not really either a short sound or a long sound. They go together and make a brand new special sound. Examples of those letters would be the 2 O's that say oo, that can also say as in book, or the OY and the OI, which say oi, or the AW and the AU, which say aw, or the OW and the OU, which say ow. So these are our vowel teams where the 2 vowels are working together, but they're going together to make a brand new sound. So we call those the special vowel teams. So vowel teams can be broken into 2 different types of vowel teams. I do want to say in these that you'll notice the W is with the A to say aw, and the W is with the O to say ow. W by itself is not a vowel, but if it's with an A, it goes together and acts like a vowel in that instance, and they go together and say aw. Again, by itself, In most words, W is not a vowel, but in this instance, with OW, the W acts like a vowel supporting the O and making that new sound, ow. Remember that the vowels are A, E, I, O, U. Sometimes Y helps as a vowel, and also we have the W that helps, but only is a vowel if it's with an O, O-W, or an A, an A-W. So those are our vowels, and those will help us to determine what type of syllable we have. Now the next type of syllable is called the Bossy R syllable. For Bossy R words, we have a vowel that is followed by an R. In these first parts over here, if this were a normal closed syllable, which is what it looks like, then this would say but that's not how we pronounce that in a word. So if you look at a real word, this would be You really don't hear the E at all. It works together with the R and makes the sound. The same is true with the IR or the UR. So if you look at this one, fir as in fir tree, you really only hear the F and the This one, fur, like fur on an animal, we have F and So in these words, if they followed the typical pattern of a closed syllable with one vowel followed by a consonant, they would say but that's not how we say it. But we don't say those vowel sounds. Those vowels are influenced by the R, and so they all just say the sound. And so that's why we call them the Bossy R or R-controlled syllables. The vowels don't get to make their typical sounds. Now for these two vowels over here, you do hear the vowels, but the R influences them so that they don't sound like they typically would in a short syllable. So for the OR, it sounds like a long O, and then a So it sounds like for. If it followed the closed syllable rules, it would be fa, but that's not what it says. So again, these are our Bossy R, where the R is influencing that vowel. Now in the last vowel combination, this A almost sounds like a short O sound followed by an R. So if we think of the word far, we don't say f-a-er like we would with a closed syllable. We say f-ar, f-a-er, far. So that R again is influencing the vowel. So whenever we have a vowel followed by an R, that R is going to influence or boss that vowel so that the vowel doesn't get to say its normal sound. And we call those Bossy R or R-controlled syllables. The last type of syllable we're going to talk about today is the consonant L-E syllable. So any consonant with an L and an E is a consonant L-E syllable. We can take this word, for instance. So the B is a consonant, the L, and then the E. So that's a consonant L-E. When we have words that end with consonant L-E, there's a rule that tells us where to divide that word into syllables. If a word ends with consonant L-E, we start from the back and count back 1, 2, 3. And that is where our syllable divide would go. So we see now that this part is a closed syllable because the B closes the door and the U doesn't get to say its name. So we have b-u, bubble. And we know that that U would be short. Conversely, if we have this syllable, again, we end with a consonant and then an L and then an E. So we know the rule. If we see that pattern, we start from the end and we count back 1, 2, 3 to divide right there. So this word, you can see that the A is the last letter in that syllable. So the A is a vowel. So this is an open syllable and the A gets to shout its name out the window. So we have t-a-b-ul, table. And that's how we know that A says its name. There are there is an exception to the consonant LE rule. If the word ends with CKLE, C and K stick together like glue. So if we have a C and a K and then LE, we only count back 1, 2. So here we have a closed syllable because the C and the K are closing the door on the I. The I doesn't get to say its name. So we have P, I, K, and then ul, pickle. So that is the exception, or the different part of the consonant LE rule. If we don't have a CK, then we count back 3 spots to divide. And if we have a CK, they stick together like glue, so we only count back 1, 2. And those are the 6 syllable types of the English language. Again, breaking words into syllables isn't an exact science. It doesn't always follow the rules that we would expect it to. And breaking words into syllables or dividing them using these rules is a man-made rule based on grammar and based on structure, and doesn't always follow the way we would pronounce the words out loud. So the way we pronounce the words might be a little different than the way that we would divide the words. Either way, it's going to give us more of a strategy for figuring out those words than what a lot of children do who have dyslexia. And children who have dyslexia like to look at the first letter of the word and guess, or they look at pictures and guess, and that is not an effective strategy. It can fool us for a while into thinking they might be getting some of the words, but we always come to a point where that strategy or that technique doesn't work anymore, where words start to fill the page and they're words that we've never heard before, and there are no pictures that go with those words, so we can't guess those words based on the context, or we can't guess those words based on what we know about the world. So those are ineffective strategies, looking at the first letter and guessing, or using pictures or context alone to think about the words. One strategy we might give our children is to divide words into syllables. And another great strategy is teaching your child about the morphemes, or the word parts, the prefixes, the suffixes, and the root words. Thank you for joining me today, and I will have some videos coming up where I explain these syllable types in more detail and where I give you links to some of the activities and the materials that I use for teaching the syllable types. At the end of this video, or in the comments section, I'm going to put a link so that you can access this page if you'd like to access that. And again, this is stuff that I pulled off of Google Images and incorporated from many different sources and cut and pasted and added in. So I don't have a particular reference for this. These pictures aren't mine and I didn't create these. So I don't own the rights to these. These are just something that I created off of Google Images to help children be able to think about the 6 different syllable types. So you are welcome to access this as well, and just understand that I don't have the rights to these pictures or this particular organizer. Again, thanks for joining me, and I will see you soon.